As you can see, I haven't taken a shower yet. Oh, yeah. I have no shirt. But that was just too tragicomic, too delicious to let go that easily. I mean, it baffles my mind. Like, I swear by God, if one day they shut down the internet, instead of being aggravated, I'll just say, well done. Well done. Oh, God. Thank you. I will never need to reply to that kind of people ever again, because they will be miles away from me, and like, intellectual barrier makes it impossible to physically be near me. So it's just too funny in a tragic way to let go, like, not to comment. Why? Because stupidity needs to be lambasted. You know, good were the times, indeed, where we used to lambast people who are just being ridiculous. You know, those were the days. Like, that's when someone had their feet on a bus or train seat. You had absolute right and literally moral obligations to slap the person upside the head, because it needs to be done. The stupid, I think our major flaw in the current society, other than, of course, believing that because we are technologically more developed, we are thus superior as human beings. No, we are not. The majority, the large, extensive majority of us is far from it, okay? You doubt me? Check the families that in Western societies still kill their daughters or beat up their sons to death if they happen to be homosexual or to marry with someone that the family does not agree with. So, no, apparently we have learned nothing, and we have learned nothing to the point that we are letting the worst scum or scourge of the earth to influence what intelligent people must say or do, the ones who actually can save us all. Yes, those are being restrained by absolute, and I really don't like to use that word, but empirical evidence convinces me I might. The morons, the half-witted, the selfish, incapable of seeing the most obvious things, just because. But again, it's too funny. Like, in some related topic about the wars in Europe, there's always one. They come like flies, you know, who tried to correct me when I said that Germans, as a Dane, I identify currently as a Dane. There we have it. So the most purist won't say anything. I can be anything I want, but currently I'm a Dane. There. They said, hey, Germany didn't start World War One. It was Austria who invaded, who declared war. Yeah, because Germany kept fueling them that and giving them guarantees and literally pushing the Austro-Hungarian diplomats into signing some bloody absurd statements. You know, like they like. I'll try to be as gentle as I can. But again, not because stupidity deserves a reward. It doesn't. It deserves to be lambasted. It deserves a slap upside the head, like the Germans took in the 2 wars that they fueled. So, and not to mention their unification wars. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? that we all know weren't peaceful at all. What was the unification wars in Germany? Well, they literally invaded their neighboring countries and declared it as their own. Oh, but they had Germans living there, therefore they could do it. Hey, they had also French living inside Germany. That doesn't mean that the French had the right to invade them. Do you get the point? They had gypsies. Does that mean that the gypsies get the right to invade Germany? The arguments, the arguments are just. How can one avoid the temptation of, grabbing those juicy, low-hanging fruits in the internet? Because at some point, you are literally pushed to do it by the very fruits. But okay, I understand there is some lack of knowledge about the causes of World War I. Germany trying to push the countries around, as they usually do, and trying to outcompete everybody else, trying to fuel a holy war, literally jihad, yes, in the Ottoman Empire. But first things first. So I understand World War I is a bit shady in the memories of people, and they don't teach much of it in schools anymore. Actually, they don't. Do they even teach in schools anymore? I was teaching. I didn't see much of it. I saw something else. But first things first. I did see kids committing suicide because of the pressure. But that's for another topic. But World War II was much more clear. The causes, who started what, who did what, and who invaded who. And the argument of the Wehraboos, and at that point I have to include anyone defending the perspective that the National Socialists didn't start World War I, as Wehraboos. From now on, I will refer to them as such because this is what they are, because this claim is absurd and it's usually verifiable, very easy to prove that this is not the case. So, after the Germans signed with the Russians, and I'm using those words because they are easier to say than National Socialists and Communists. So 1 week after they signed the von Ribbentrop Pact, they invaded Poland. After, Germany had invaded several other countries. And then the argument, hey, but they had Germans living there. Therefore, they can invade. This is so dumb. Okay. So if I move to Germany, I have the right to invade it. Because I live there, goddammit, it's mine. Although it does make sense in a reptilian brain kind of way. As we are territorial, there's no doubt about it, right? I declare the 6 meters around me in Germany as my territory, and wherever I go, the territory goes along with me. Oh, come on, people. Oh. Oh, God. Now I know why Brazilians got the reputation of being hue whenever they talk with the Wehraboos. Because, man, what planet are those people living in? Oh. No, serious, man, serious. You can't claim a country just because there are some people living there that are from somewhere else. Like, that's a poor excuse, especially after the Montevideo convention, where international laws were kind of made very clear in causes for war or not. But again, baby steps, baby steps. No, Germany definitely. I'm pretty sure Germany had invaded several countries. Hey, but they didn't declare war. No, they just marched in the troops and shot at anybody who dare resist and killed a lot of people in the process. They're causing uprisals and whatnot, and legal, democratically instituted governments to beg them to get the fuck out of there because it's their country. No, that's not war because it's not declared, you see. How can I explain to someone who believes that? And by the way, I've seen the sites. I've seen several of the websites where that pish comes from, because it's literal garbage, right? And I recognize some of the names, actually. They were usually pushing for the 2000 end of the world. Briefly, temporarily, some of them, of course, temporarily related to the Flat Earth project. Somehow, for more than 5 years, extensive supporters of the Nibiru planet, that kind of people, currently under the guise of Wehraboos, who believe that Germany did not start the Second World War. That was not on Germany, nor pushed for World War I, nor caused all the unification wars with the rise of nationalism that we now know as Germany. No. You see, you know why? Do you know why? Because they never declared war, that's why. Which actually works against Prussia and Germany. That puts them in a very bad diplomatic position, because it technically, by not declaring war, just invading a country, what you are doing is that you are giving the right to any other country to just do the same in your country. Do you understand? And this is why we do have diplomatic formalities as declaration of war proper. Okay? Because to declare war, you must have some ground reasons, some serious reasons to do so. So yes, they marched in with their troops, killed everybody who resist. But you see, it's not a formal the argument is that it's not a formal declaration of war. And hey, some Germans lived there once upon a time. Some still did, descendants. Not German anymore because they actually reside in another country, but who cares about facts? Especially nowadays, like, it's just so amazing, like, to even consider that, to even come out with that. Oh, but the Germans didn't declare war, and you see, it was Poland who invaded. Poland didn't invade anyone. countries agreed that Poland should get that portion of land that they. By the way, if you want to roll around the clock, we can roll a little further, and you can see it actually belonged to Poland all along. Before Germany was even a thing, you dum-dums, not to call you something more, because I only call people I like dum-dums, and it's in a very effective, very affectionate mode, because I care about them and I think they're funny. Those absolute morons, and you got to be a moron. First, to think that an ideology that couldn't survive did not even survive 20 years, is somehow the best humankind has to offer in that sense. I mean, even communism, because apparently people get angry if I say the word communism, so even communism, and actually it actually matches so much. Think about it. You know, you're literally letting others take care of all your stuff for you. So it's a form of cuckery. Communism survived and still do, you know, while National Socialism, not so much. And there are people pushing for that, especially, and the most hilarious aspect, are those who do not happen to be German, and I see a lot of them. Actually, the day I saw National Socialist street manifestations while I was at work, like we could see it from the top of the building, like I was in the 15th floor, and I could see it all the way down there. Not only it gave me a proper perspective of the political force that such a movement currently have, as they were surrounded by a police ring that was following them all along, and they didn't even realize it because they were in the street level, but from above we could see the huge ring around them. So there was absolute control over the entire situation all the time. But that's irrelevant to the topic, but kind of gives a light on how little they are. But those who do not happen to be German who are pushing for that thing, and as I was going to say, the day that I saw the National Socialist manifestations was the day I definitely stopped being concerned about them at all, because mainly most of them had nothing to do with even the Anglo-Saxon types. They were something else, which I won't say because it's currently taboo. But it was hilarious in a way. Like you could clearly see the irony. But anyway, because I do not wish to dwell on that, because it's not really the point anyway. The point being, don't be stupid. Okay, don't be stupid. If most of you who support that were sent to talk with the people you praise, the ones that you hold high, you will be shot in the spot to start with, because you will be considered at least mentally unfit, and they used to kill who they considered to be mentally unfit. They would, I think, castrate and kill. It's just a bad idea, and please, for the love of God, I know people of the left constantly say, oh, read a book. I won't say that because that's also fucking stupid. What book? What do you mean? That's no argument anyway. But do inform yourselves better, and do not read only from one site from previous Nibiru worshippers. This is an invisible planet. Look, follow your heart, okay? Sure, follow your heart, but at least follow it in the right direction, okay? Follow it in a proper direction, a direction that actually leads you somewhere, okay? And not through pain and misery, just because they wore Hugo Boss. You know what? Start following Hugo Boss. But don't follow those ideologies because Hugo Boss survived the test of time. Do you understand? I have some stuff myself. I have, I think, right here, right close to me. Oh, it's not right here. But I have a couple of belts and all that. But do not praise ideologies that cease to exist from their conception. Okay, that should tell something about the practicability of such ideas. I mean, come on, even communism survived. I mean, and it sucks. Nobody, once they get it, nobody wants it. Nobody except a strong group of psychopaths, but, because such an ideology kind of pushes the psychopath, because then you really have no boundaries there, and you can do whatever you please, and it is, as Mao used to say, the political powers at the barrel of a gun. You understand? Well, that's welcome to the world of the psychopaths. Right? But there are no rules. But the rule is my gun, and I'm pointing it at you, and you are going to do exactly what I tell you, or I'll shoot you. That's it. It's like the psychopath's wet dream. They have legal authority to do whatever they want. Isn't that beautiful? For them, not for you. I can assure you of that. But anyway, do consider, okay? At least consider that for your own good. I couldn't care less. I'm doing fine with my life. But for your own sake, do consider that if you invade a country and shoot everyone who resists, you are starting a war. Can you at least consider that? Can you at least accept, because that's a fact, can you at least accept that once you stepped over the boundaries, you torn down their tolls, you invaded with your army in full gear, and you start shooting people who dare to resist, you have started a war. It doesn't matter if it was not formally declared. You started a war. If you march to several places around the continent, pushing other countries to sign documents to start a war, you are starting a war. Do you understand? You are not backing out. You are not saying, no, I'll never do that. No, I will never put my diplomats through this. And mind you, some German diplomats had nightmares. Nightmares, literally. They lost sleep. They couldn't eat because of what they were told to start. Do you understand? And they did it. Okay? They started World War I by pushing Austria into a position they couldn't back from. And they started World War II. And not just that, there were several other things related. Like the Germans seriously did whatever they could to start World War I. They destroyed the concert of Europe. I bet most of you didn't even know what that is. What? Did they play opera in the, in the Europe Titanic? No. The concert of Europe was created after the Napoleonic Wars to ensure peace in Europe, and was just broken because the Germans kept pushing. They pushed the Ottomans to declare jihad. They pushed other countries to wage war. They pushed Austria-Hungary into that war with Serbia. They gave them no other choice. It was an ultimatum coming from Germany. So there you have it. And at World War II, it was even more clear because it was less diplomatic. Actually, was there even, can you call the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact diplomacy? Especially after the Germans just broke it as well, like an invaded Russia. Invasion. Oh, God damn it. And then you wonder why people don't like them. Um, everybody was still recovering from World War One, by the way. If you ever wondered why Europe lost all its colonies, thank Germany for those wars, okay? Thank Germany. And unfortunately, you cannot thank Austria-Hungary because they ceased to exist. And if Germany pushes for another war, they will probably cease to exist too. Do you understand? I don't know why people keep giving them the opportunity to become a country again after what they did. So much land that they stole by invading, not declaring war, what technically, legally, if you consider it legally, they even do not have legal right for those lands because they invaded without a formal declaration. But that's still for consideration. But still, they clearly started World War II. What are those people talking about? Oh, but you see, after 48 hours, that France and England, after caving in for every German invasion of all the other territories, after literally giving Czechoslovakia entirely, despite the fact that there were Czechoslovakians living there, they gave it to the Germans regardless, just to make sure that there wouldn't be a war. The Germans invaded Poland. Oh, you see, the British and the French started the war. No, they did everything they could not to start it. They even gave land that wasn't theirs just to not start that thing. You are literally like, and I know that Wehraboos probably think that rape is a good thing. I don't know. Maybe they don't. But, you know, if they are of Untermensch, probably they would. But still, 9, because then they are animals, right? Their words, not mine. So let's say you're a neighbor, right? I'm trying to make those people think about what they are saying because I don't think they're thinking. I think they're just knee-jerking, just reacting because they like the uniforms. The Hugo Boss uniforms. They're so cool. They must be right. But just imagine, I'm even taking the serious glasses because I can't take people like that seriously. I can't. Imagine you're there in your house, you're living in your home, it's yours, right? It was given to you by the neighborhood, by your parents. They bought it, they took good care of it, and now you're taking care of that house, right? And then one day, after I conquered or I took several of the houses of the neighborhood, because you see, my claim is that at some point in history, my family owned those houses. They lived in those houses, you see. I can still see things that they planted there, so that gives me the right to invade those houses and take everything I want and kick everyone out of those houses that my family lived there at some point. They don't live there anymore, or they I don't know, they still have some plants there. The cat still there. The cat that used to live there is still there, so you know, it was theirs at some point. So I guess that gives me the right to just go and I just start taking those houses. I take those houses, I come and I just, one day I say good morning or good afternoon, and then I just march in. I proceed to beat the shit out of you if you resist, and drag you out of your house and kick you out of there and hold your family in hostage, like, and make them work in the houses as slaves because, you know, my family lived there at some point, so they don't live there anymore, or they might still have some belongings that they left when they left. But you see, that gives me the right to call it mine. So after doing that, A few times, let's say 5, 6 times, I decided to invade your house. Your house. You, the Wehraboos. You, the one who think that Germany never did anything wrong. So, oh, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they didn't start the wars that they did, that they are historically known for. Yeah, imagine that. But hey, there you are, living in that house, you see. You're living there fine. You lived there for some time. You didn't always live there, but you live there now, right? You're paying your rent, you're paying your bills, you're taking care of it. Everything is all right. It's comfortable. You made it comfortable. And I just go there and say, oh, good afternoon. Oh, I see you are having supper. Do you mind if I pull my dick and stretch it on the table? Oh, you mind? Oh, okay, then off with you then. And then I proceed to beat the living bejeebers out of you. We have a fight, and I managed to overcome you because I took you by surprise and I kicked your bum. And I kicked you out of the house unconscious, and I took your family as hostage, and they work for me now. You see, they are my family because I said so. No, actually, they are not my family. They are my servants now, because you see, the house is mine. So they happen to live there. They are not my family. Well, then they are my servants. Yeah, that paper that I wrote says so. But then, the neighbors, finally, two of the neighbors, let's call them Frank and let's call them Dan Bull. Yeah. Let's say that they finally get fed up with my bullshit, with my crazy random bullshit, and they decide to call the police. Officially, they call the police. And as they call the police, they proceed to drag me out of the house. But you see, I didn't call the police. That makes them wrong, because they actually did call the police. They actually did the right thing under the circumstances. And then I actually, when they tried to stop me, I literally tried to take over their houses as well and wrecked as much of it as I possibly could before they managed to finally overcome me and with the help of the police and kick me out of there and put me probably in a mental institution for declaring all properties as mine. They are mine, and everybody who lived there, what? They are not my family. Well, then they are my servants. They work for me now. Is it too much to ask for those people, unlike the left-wingers who ask them to read a book, to literally inform yourselves better before you come uttering this nonsense? Again, I'm a guy preaching for the good old times. The good old times that when someone who put their feet over a chair where other people sit, it would give me the moral obligation to slap you upside your head. About that and about other stupid things, as claiming that the Germans never started a war. When I had family who actually was tortured and died in those wars, I can even take it as a personal offense. They didn't want to fight, to be fair. They didn't want to fight the Germans. They really didn't. They didn't. But, maybe you like to be beaten up into submission. Others don't. Just saying. So if you want to be beaten up into submission, I can give you a taste of that if that's what you want. Under legal circumstances, we need to sign a document previous. Let's call it a formal declaration of war. But that gives me the right to beat you into submission. which I don't want to do, mind you. I don't. I'm trying to explain to you why the claim that Germany didn't start a war is wrong. And it saddens me more than it makes me happy. I'm laughing hysterically because I cannot believe that there are people around there who consider themselves to be educated. And I know some of you are. I know that. And then open your gab, pun intended, to state such absurd claims. Of course, Germany started the wars. Of course, Germany started the wars of unification. Germany started, oh, sorry, my bad, Prussia. Anywho, and they started World War I by pushing everyone around them into it. Probably because they had problems with the bankers and were broke, we can debate. But still, stupid way to start a war. And World War II, it was definitely the Germans. Like, the Russians wouldn't have dared if the Germans hadn't pushed them to join the von Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, or however you call it. If you march your troops into a foreign country without their previous authorization and start shooting people in the spot who dare tell you not to, you started a war. It doesn't matter. When the other countries that you blame for starting a war have given you formal 48 hours to remove all your troops from that other country's territory. Oh, but it used to belong to Germany. Well, it used to belong to Poland before Germany was even a thing. What are you talking about? Kind of absurd bollocks. That should give people the right to slap you upside your head. To see, like if you get, like we used to do with TVs back in the 80s, so they would bang and then suddenly the diodes would finally like have the spark that they needed to operate in full function. Like maybe that helped. I don't know, because if talking doesn't help, should I invade your Poland? Would you like me to invade your Poland very much? Oh, I cannot believe that this is possible. I can't. I simply can't. I think they're trolling because it can't be serious. Some people can't be that stupid. It can't be possible. Politicians, at least, they're corrupt most of the time, or in the hands of drug lords or whatever. They have addictions, or they have gambling debts or whatever, so they have to do what they are told or else. So at least it's not a moral excuse, but there's an explanation to why they are doing things. You fully supporting an ideology that couldn't withstand its own goals. It couldn't fulfill its own goals. It couldn't withstand its own principles. And it failed so bad that it didn't even reach a quarter of a century, when even communism has gone further than that, should make you think. But hey, you like the uniforms. Yeah, they're beautiful. Even Lemmy from Motorhead used to use them. Does that make him a Nazi? No. They were just that good looking. But that doesn't mean that somehow it gives the Germans the magical principle that they don't start wars just by invading other countries and killing everybody. That's not how you start a war. What kind of insanity are you living in? I bet many of those people wouldn't know even how to do. They wouldn't even dare being there. They would be the ones that the Germans shot during boot camp because they were too slobby or too slow, too fat, too retarded to be. Do forgive me. if that means some offensive reality to you, but actually it's an insult to people who actually are mentally challenged, because those people are just being stubborn, I believe. Maybe they are, in fact, mentally challenged, because at least delusional. If they cannot see, if you simply cannot see how Germany did start those wars, there's something wrong with you and you need therapy. And make sure that you get therapy with a Aryan blonde that blows your brains off in a good way. Okay, but get therapy because you need it. If even I can see where you go wrong, that should be an indicator of how wrong you actually are. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm depressed. Deal with it. But thanks, you helped me a bit. I feel a bit better now knowing that least, at least, I am more realistic than those people. It's a big help.